great Booker T. Jones, and I must tell you, Booker, you have been on my bucket list for many years to invite out here, and I'm delighted you're coming out. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Rick is here with me, my partner, and as I say, you're in Colorado?
Yes, I am. I'm in Colorado Springs right now.
Colorado Springs. You got a gig tonight?
Yes, we're going to play here.
Well, from Memphis by way of Edith Avenue, and now I guess by way of Lake Tahoe. Talk a little bit about how it all came together growing up, and was a lot of music in your house in Memphis as a kid?
Yes, my mother played music, and my father sang in church, and we had a piano, and I campaigned for a drum and a ukulele, which I got at a very early age, and got on my tippy toes to play my mom's piano, and her mom was a piano teacher, so we had a lot of music, and there was a lot of music in the city for a young person to listen to down on Beale Street. A lot of blues being played down there, just all over.
Well, if your parents were anything like mine and you wanted to drum at that age, you had to do quite a bit of campaigning, is my guess.
A lot of campaigning, and I broke at the first day too.
And then you went to did you play a guitar as a young man?
I started with ukulele, and I finally got a Sears Silvertone. Maybe when I was, I did play guitar.
Yeah.
And I tried to get into Stax Records playing guitar with Steve Cropper was there, so I let him know that I could play keyboards, and then I finally got the job playing piano.
That's a little bit like going in for Lou Gehrig's job, you know. It's just not.
It was.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about when you started with. Did you do classical piano? Is that what I mean? Like so many of us started.
My first lessons were classical. I had a piano teacher who had a Hammond organ in her dining room. I didn't notice it for months, but I noticed the girl sitting in there after I'd heard Ray Charles play Hammond M3 organ.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a Breakfront. I thought she had china in that. It was a big wooden cabinet, but turned out that it was a Hammond B3. And, of course, I couldn't afford the lessons.
Yeah.
But I did get to see it and put my hands on it. She played a little bit of Bach, and I got a paper out and was eventually able to afford the lessons.
Now, was the B3, what was the era of that? I mean, were the B3s around in the 40s?
B3 started in 1934.
Okay.
It was Lawrence Hammond, and he kept them separate, and then they got connected with the Leslie Speakers in the early 40s out in California.
Now, you were a very young man, but Green Onions were you 17 when you wrote that?
I was 17 years old. I turned 18 that year, November. Yeah, it was June of 1962.
That's one of the great stories, like Strayhorn writing Lush Life at 16.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Oh my goodness.
It's very interesting. He wrote it from 16 because we're doing this Ellington tribute this year at Jazz in the Plaza. So I was researching, and he wrote Lush Life over a 5-year period. And if you think about it, the 5 years of 16 to 21 are quite a learning curve. So you can understand probably how he came up with those lyrics. And you must have if you were 17 then, Monterey Pop, you had to be in your early 20s with the MGs.
I was. We had just left London. We'd played there. And I was, 22, something like that.
You backed Otis Redding. Were you in the crowd when Hendrix set the guitar on fire?
I was backstage, and it was such a new experience for us meeting all those new musicians, and just even going to a town like Monterey at that time. So we were just talking to people. We missed a lot of the show just there was a show in the dressing room, for God's sake.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit, Booker, if you would, about Stax Record, an iconic company in terms of rhythm and blues.
Started as Satellite Records, which they couldn't keep the name. It started as an attempt to record some country and R&B music in Memphis, and of course Jim Stewart by accident got hooked on African American music, rhythm and blues. He didn't study. He started as a country fiddle player. He met Rufus Thomas, kind of an engaging personality, to say the least. And
Yeah.
It was my first employer in the studio, and they just kind of hit it off. And the record that I played the baritone sax on, "Cause I Love You," became a local hit.
Wow.
And it was the first time I played in the studio ever. I was out of algebra class, and he sang it with his daughter Carla, regional hit, and so they made a little money. 1964. I'm sorry, 1960. And then she had another big hit that Carla Thomas did. She wrote it, a song called "Gee Whiz." A beautiful ballad, which I sometimes do on the show, and another hit. So then they had a little money to buy a little equipment with, and Satellite became Stax. He got his sister to mortgage her house and buy a recording console and some more sophisticated equipment, and all of a sudden, there 2 blocks away from me, there was a record company and a recording studio, and I wasn't even in 11th grade yet.
Well, wasn't that part and parcel of the late 50s, early 60s? If you started a record company, somebody mortgaged their house.
Somebody has got to do it.
Yeah.
Got to convince the spouse,
Yeah. As Willie Nelson used to say, if it wasn't for cocktail waitresses, guitar players would have nowhere to sleep. What Sound the Alarm? Sound the Alarm is I guess that's your latest. You did a couple years ago, the CD.
Yes. It was a composite of people that I had been meeting over the past 3 years. People that I met through friends. I met Maya Hawthorne through Daryl Hall up in New York. And I met Anthony Hamilton in line at the Grammys 3 times. We finally decided to get together. Gary Clark Jr. I met out at Apple in Cupertino out in California. And he was a great blues guitarist, and I thought he needed some help in the music business. I didn't know he was a star. Gave him my phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a bunch of people that I had wanted to work with, and my son Ted, who was playing guitar on the album, and the Avila Brothers, and Raphael Sadiq, people that I had been meeting around on my path in the music business.
Well, speaking of your children, I've had so many nice conversations as of late with your daughter Olivia, who I guess congratulations are in order. She's getting married next week.
She is. Yeah, we're getting ready for that. Yeah, that's going to be a big day.
I said to her, you're going to come out to Los Gatos with your dad, and she goes, "Oh, no, I'll be in the south of France." I went, "Okay, it's tough." I said, "It's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and keep that gig." Hey, listen, I know you got a sound check to do. As I say, I couldn't be happier that you're joining us, and look forward to meeting you.
So do I. Look forward to meeting you.
We'll do a little television and chat and chat about old times, new times, and what a great thrill it is to chat with you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I'm looking forward to it.
Take care of yourself.
Okay, see you in a bit.
All right, bye-bye.
Like us at facebook.com/RTSJazz.